Well, 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 another Super Bowl has come and gone, and here we are, the next morning, feeling happy, sad, maybe a little hungover? Who knows? I know. But at the end of the day, the event is over, and we all get to look back on all the fond and bad memories that we've accumulated over the past night. But you want to know what the bread and butter of the Super Bowl is? Some would say the game, and yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you, but it's also those ads. The ads are the things that make the Super Bowl tick. It's a wonderful time when we're introduced to a whole new range of different ideas, products, cool advertisements. And this year it was interesting. And while my recollection of last night was kind of foggy, I looked back later, the next morning, when I was a little bit more awake, and I'm inclined to agree that the ads for the Super Bowl were just kind of, there were good ads in there, but it just wasn't the titan of industry that it used to be. You'd get the coolest ads that you've ever seen in your life, and I don't know, I just feel like they fell short this year. I mean, to be fair, let's go down the list, because there are good ones. We got a little sneak peek at Deadpool 3, which looks really, really good. I'm dying today. We also got a look at the new Quiet Place movie, which, again, looks really, really good. Bob Marley trailer, Despicable Me 4 trailer. There are good advertisements here. But there are also really, really, strange ones. Ones that you wouldn't expect. One of the ones that immediately popped out at me was near the end. And it was for, believe it or not, it was for Temu. Temu, you know that ad that you'd occasionally get on your TikTok asking if you want to see naked women? Yeah, that company. Well, apparently they mustered enough doubloons to put an ad in the Super Bowl, which I didn't even think was possible. I didn't expect that Temu would be there with the pantheon of other ads that would be added to the Super Bowl. We got a commercial with Christopher Walken, a classic. The thing was with that commercial, though, you didn't know that it was for BMW up until the very last point. At least for me, and again, last night, I don't really remember the events for last night as well, but it was interesting nonetheless. Another unexpected ad when it came to the Super Bowl was the He Gets Us ad. It's one that would appear on the TV every so often, and it's basically a campaign for like, hey, you know that guy, Jesus, that dude, he gets us. And they did one for the Super Bowl, but it was it was strange. No, not because of the ad itself, but how they managed to do the ad and the way that they went about creating the ad. Because it has basically imagery of feet washing, which is something that Jesus did with his disciples. Long story short, it had biblical significance. The problem was with these images, they're all AI, all right? Most of these were AI images, and you cannot convince me otherwise. There's just something wrong about them, and I can't quite put my finger on it, other than the fact that it reeks of AI-generated images, which is kind of a hot button issue. So I'm not entirely sure why they decided to go about doing it that way, but you know what, to each his own. And continuing the train of religion, you know what else we got? We got a Scientology ad in the Super Bowl, which is something that I did not see coming towards me. That was a train that hit me like 1,000 miles an hour, broadsided me into the frickin' abyss, because I did not think that Scientology would be able to get doubloons like that. It's important that I mention these ads because one thing that the Super Bowl said that they were going to try to, stay away from when it comes to the ads this year is that they wanted to make it safer. They weren't going to take any big risks when it came to advertisements, which I think is it's understandable. It's an understandable thing to do. But at the same time, I feel like they kind of missed the mark with that one because a lot of these commercials, I'd argue, are kind of controversial. But the trend keeps going with that one too, because they also have this ad that I've also seen everywhere, and it's the stand up to Jewish hate ad. And, I've seen that ad a lot, and within the ad there's also a stand up to Muslim hate. So pretty much it's just an anti-hate ad. But that's kind of controversial, considering events. I'm sure it'll come to me eventually, but I just can't think of it off the top of my head. I don't think people are talking about it as much. Sarcasm. And the cherry on top, the last one I want to talk about is one that was not on my bucket list, and out of all the ads that have surprised me so far, oddly this one is the one that really, really shocked me. And it was a political advertisement for Robert Kennedy. And it was so strange to watch because the way they did the ad, it seems like it's like one of those older ads that you would have seen back in like the 60s, 80s, whenever. And it was kind of cool. Really appeals to those voters out there. Advertisements that are 50 years old. But that's the last one I want to talk about. I really don't care about the politics. The reason I mention these very controversial advertisements is because, one, as I said before, the Super Bowl said that they were going to try to play it safe when it came to ads. And it doesn't seem like they really played it safe. Kind of controversial stuff they put on the ads. But more than that, I think that the Super Bowl kind of shot themselves in the foot when it came to ads. Because all the other ads, I mean, they were okay. Some of them were okay, but nothing really blew me away. And you know what? Some people might make the argument that the Super Bowl isn't about the ads. It's about the game. Maybe you should pay more attention to the game than the ads. And I say pahooey to that, because the ads are, as I said, very pivotal to the Super Bowl. And I feel like they just didn't hit the mark that they kind of made for themselves. They have standards, and their standards have lowered to this. Because I feel like it wasn't as creative as it could have been. Do you remember Puppy Monkey Baby? Remember that ad in the Super Bowl? Do you know how unique you have to be as a marketer, as an advertiser, to come up with something like that, and then just really put yourself out there, put it out there for the world to see? Those were good days. It's when they took risks. There's no risk here. There's some risk, but a different kind of risk. Because the politic ones, the religion ones, that's what they're made to be. They're selling that product. All in all, the ads for the Super Bowl this year were just very strange. They were ads that I wouldn't have expected to be put in the Super Bowl at all, especially considering their safety standpoint that they were trying to reach for. Two, the regular commercials for the regular products, they just weren't, kind of disappointing. So I walked away from the Super Bowl feeling kind of sad. I went to bed feeling kind of sad. I blacked out feeling kind of sad. But at the end of the day, that's just 2024, I guess. There's always next year. There's always next year. And hopefully next year, they'll go back to their old roots. You know what we need? Puppy Monkey Baby, Bud Knight, Geico Caveman. These are the things that the Super Bowl needs if it wants to survive, because it's in a rough place right now. But really, at the end of the day, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens next year. So, get counting. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, if indeed you still are. My name is Brockster, and I bid you all adieu.